There's no way. There's no way. It's way too much damage.
Wow.
Oh, no, he gets out!
Somewhere there's a covert muffin just applauding this seed.
Holy crap.
Oh man, this is gonna come down to execution in the final escape, isn't it?
Sure is.
Every seed
Our
does.
favorite phrase.
Friends and folks, welcome back. We are kicking off brackets here with a matchup of rin versus jmal here in the winners bracket currently for the Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer Tournament that is taking place here in this fine year. My screen name is Covert Muffin, the undercover caster, and here joined with me is none other than my good friend Aiko. How are you doing this fine evening?
I am doing great. I'm so excited. This is the third match of the bracket. It's going to be a really close one. I'm super excited. We've got two excellent runners, Rin and Jamal, 34th and 31st seed, so they placed nice and close. We got a chance to chat a little bit with both the runners. Rin says he's not really sure how he feels about the match. He's hoping that he gets a seed with G-jumps or stomp cancels because he feels like something he's advantaged on is execution. Rin's been running all skills, or like running Ori in the Blind Forest categories about 6 months ago, and considers himself stuck in the all skills, the pit, stuck in Glades, as some runners say. He does say though that if he wins, he's going to go on to absolutely destroy Tritonite, our second seed, and the opponent for whoever wins this match. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and so jmal's kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum. Just came into the rando without having speedrun any sort of Ori in the Blind Forest categories previously, which is great. And they actually rather enjoy longer seeds. So hoping for that long start with just minimal skill sets as they scour the right side for some form of progression. And we see both of our runners actually utilizing keyboard and mouse, so no input advantage going over to either of the players, depending on what skills we have. And very interesting that we've actually seen both of the runners meet in the prelims multiple times. And so overall, that win-loss record in those free-for-all matches during those 2 weeks of prelims, jmal had 2 wins over rin, while rin actually closed out one of the victories. So we do have a really, really good potential to see both of the runners putting on good performances and having an exciting and close race tonight.
Yeah, and also cute, neat little tidbit. Jamal started the very important and wonderful tradition of reacting to seeds posted in the preliminaries with the little melon emoji, which, as some of you may know, has little seeds in it. So that's like a really important tradition.
That's what that is. I was wondering why people were doing that.
You add a little seed to the melon emoji.
That's so genius. All right, and so we are going to have our runners starting momentarily, but Aiko, the age-old traditional question, what are you hoping the first pickup is going to be?
I think the first pickup is going to be Warmth Returned. Nice cozy seed.
Yeah. I'm so down for that. Like I've been getting a lot of sleep recently and just like wearing nice comfy clothes, and so I am down for the comfiest of starts.
All right.
Okay, here we are. So we are on our race screen. Rin is going to be featured on the left with jmal, over on the right with the respective item and tree trackers seen directly below the player's expressive gameplay screens. And so, Rin spamming the good luck on your rando. This is just the same hotkey that we used to show the last pickup grabbed, but of course, when we don't have a pickup, we just wish to wish both of our runners a bit of luck. And so Here over on the right, we're going to see Grotto Teleporter.
Oh, okay. This has some big potential for bad seed hours. Grotto Teleporter can unlock a lot of things without. It can unlock a lot of things, just not very well. So depending on like whether or not we see wall interaction, especially Grotto Teleporter plus wall interactions, just a recipe for a lot of checks that you don't really want to be making, but you could. Absolutely could. There's nothing stopping you. That second pickup is an ability cell, nice to have. Means that if a runner's go into Black Root, they'll be able to avoid watching the cutscene, or if they need to drop into Grotto, they'll be able to skip the bridge.
Right, for sure. Okay, and so we saw jmal also pick up the 9 experience dropped by the Rhino. This costs a bit of time, but if one of the first 2 pickups was something like charge jump or wall interaction, skipping the 3rd and 4th pickup that we're going to see both of our runners actually have to check allows us to get into Black Root a little bit quicker, and maybe a little bit of trouble from jmal not alt-Ring immediately, maybe a rebinding thing or something going on with their game. But meanwhile, on the left, we're going to see rin pick up the keystone as jmal is now going to actually have to take the Frankie fight because maybe their alt-R function is not behaving as they were expecting it to behave.
Yeah, all right, it looks like rin found 2 keystones. Is going to open, or is that 2 keystones that actually, yeah, 2 keystones, and opens the door. Checks the underwater pickup, doesn't find anything there. And we'll see what he finds there.
Okay, so meanwhile, on the left, we're going to see rin find double jump right outside at that 4th health cell, as we like to call it. And so finding double jump is a really nice pickup. It's going to allow us to get a little bit of verticality, but basically it just properly augments like every single thing that you actually end up like finding, which is really, 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 really nice. And so rin is going to be continuing on to Glades because we still don't have like that next bit of logical progression. There could be like something in Grotto, but Grotto is actually not really open into logic until they find something like wall interaction. But there are like a list of pickups in Grotto that the next bit of progression could be. So it'll be interesting to see what rin actually opts to do here, whether they end up going into Black Root Burrows with only double jump, because you can get through that area with only double jump, or if they are going to opt to continue to dig for pickups.
Yeah, and just chiming in as a tournament coordinator here, we are going to probably restart this race because we're not going to swap the seeds up or anything, but we just... not enough has happened, and jmal's having technical difficulties that are preventing him from using a very important binding.
Right, yeah, and so we have a functionality known as alt-R in the run, and so that allows us to teleport back to the start. And this is actually like, this saves like minutes and minutes and minutes across every single seed that you actually end up playing. So we'll see if we can get the attention of both of our runners right now. We're just trying to get in contact with rin, and it does look like that rin has taken notice. So we will get back into the action with the game really soon, folks. Just hold on tight.
Yeah. All right, Muffin, while we're waiting, you want to tell us how your day is going?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been like sleeping so much recently, which has been just so nice. And that being said, because we are actually still in the early bits of brackets, let's talk a little bit of the randomizer while we wait to get our runners situated back on up. And that being said, this is an item randomizer, which basically means we can't actually see what pickup we're going to get until we actually end up collecting it, as you saw, with those toast notifications showing up at the top of the screen. But there is a little bit of logic at play with every single seed as well. So every single seed we finish is guaranteed to be, or every seed we start, is guaranteed to be finishable. And so we will see how our runners sort of interpret what the logic expects us to be capable of doing. And that being said, the randomizer also has really specific things around the logic that we can use to sort of track down various skills and stuff like that. So a lot of the more experienced runners actually do consistently finish the randomizer at very specific time intervals. Of course, at the end of the day, like what seed you get really decides how fast you actually end up finishing. And so for that sake, like both of our runners here that we're going to be showcasing today are going to be using the same seed that they will be running for the purposes of racing. What we saw from this previous seed so far was wall jump being the first little bit of progression, including double jump, which is really going to vastly open up the seed as we progress into Grotto and the like.
Yeah, wall jump, double jump, and the Grotto teleporter is going to be a real interesting start for our runners. It's going to mean that we're going to have a lot of access to basically every left side or right side pickup that is not blocked by a basically a blue wall or some other kind of breakable barrier. But yeah, it looks like we've got our runners back in the race time. Jamal restarted his game and is now capable of performing that warp back to start. So we're going to see a more synchronized start. And I'm going to call it now. The first pickup's going to be the Grotto teleporter.
You know, I really hope it's Grotto teleporter. I mean, I would just be so happy to see Grotto teleporter here, as we are actually going to be utilizing the same seed. rin with a little bit of an information advantage because they were able to get a little bit deeper into glades, but jmal just knows the early pickups, and so both of our runners will probably be synced as they end up going to the same section. So no advantage for rin here, so we did not re-roll a new seed.
Yeah. And it looks like we're seeing the same thing. I guess actually a bit of a divergence. Jamal does not stick around to get the experience this time, perhaps because he knows that that first ability cell is there. The main reason you would stick around for that experience is because that plus the amount of experience you can get from some brambles is enough to level you up once. So in the worst case where you get no experience drops, no cells and wall interaction, and have to go immediately to Blackroot, getting that Rhino experience can be the difference between farming a little bit or watching lore.
Right, and it saves.
We hate lore here.
Yeah. It saves a tiny bit of time too if you find wall interaction or charge jump in the first two pickups. But of course, we didn't see that here, so it's just always going to be a little faster to skip that Rhino. So over here, both of our runners are going to be pretty synced up as we're coming into glades. rin notably only actually has 2 health right now, so not going to be able to go back down into the poison water. Of course, we were able to get that check, and I believe it was not something that rin was keen to be able to keep. So rin actually, yeah, going back down in order to check that. I like this just in case they may have forgotten or just to keep things a little bit consistent. And then rin immediately coming up is going to be able to grab this double jump pickup over on the left, which is going to be a really powerful skill, right, Eiko?
Yeah. Double jump is, as a lot of people like to say in the rando, the best skill that you never actually need to beat the game, because a lot of the things it gives you can get from other skills like glide or dash or anything, but it's just really nice to have. Double jump in Ori, I think, is actually kind of interesting in that it's less of a vertical. It does give you like some verticality, as we like to talk about, but it's much less of a vertical traversal solution than it is a horizontal one. And it just gives you the ability to go very long distances in the air. And if we see our runners skill up to triple jump or make it all the way out to find the triple jump pickup, make it all the way out to quad jump, we will see truly ridiculous amounts of double jump airtime.
Yeah, and there's some really insanely difficult final escapes because as we are in the Ori and the Blind Forest randomizer, the most important things are activating every single skill location, which is actually fundamentally required before you can start the final escape itself. We literally have it coded into the randomizer to stop our runners from being able to do so. And then also to actually be able to finish out the final escape itself. And with double jump, there's actually a lot of really insane final escapes that you can do, especially if you don't end up finding Bash. Meanwhile, we're getting some nice resources here. A 4th health cell for both of our runners is going to be really nice, especially for the mid and potentially late game sections. And we are going to be getting our first look here over at Wall Jump Tree on the left.
Yep, we will. This is actually where we restarted last time. So this is our first actual full new piece of information. Ooh, on the right, I actually like this. Jamal is doing a save anywhere here. This is a trick where you regain control of Ori behind the ability menu, and you can spend an ability point, which saves your game. Jamal is going to use this to avoid the cutscene here and regain movement of Ori during that. During that time, he can run up there and check that pickup, saving a small number of seconds. But it's free. And by free, I mean it doesn't really cost anything besides that ability point, and he wants to spend it anyways.
Yeah, and this is probably the most important glitch, is on the left we see rin do another save anywhere, because literally saving the game in Ori in many different situations allows us to glitch out the game and skip certain things. So like this 20 plus second cutscene here, rin is going to be skipping that by just saving the game after crossing the trigger. And so if you see ability is up and you see our runners moving around, it's just simply because they want to save the game, quit out to menu, reload, and allows us to do something cool.
All right, but Muffin, what can you tell me about this very dark and spooky area our runners are entering? It just seems so scary. How do they know where to go? What are they doing?
Yeah, so here in Blackroot Burrows, you actually have to end up doing this puzzle with this orb, as we see on the left. Rin is going to be picking it up and putting it back down. And then Rin is going to be checking a single pickup and then altaring with re-entering the dungeon itself. And so this area, Blackroot Burrows, is unique to the definitive edition of the game itself, and it introduced 2 additional skills, or skill locations as we call them here for the purpose of the randomizer. And so coming into here is really nice early, just simply because there's not very many skills that you might find, like in Grotto, right? They have Grotto TP, so they could go over to the right side of the map. There's not really much that's going to speed it up. And so even though there's not many pickups in here, it does have a skill location, so we have to come in here at any point in time. And also, it does not require many skills to be able to check it. So slightly higher probability that our runners are going to be finding something useful and important as they come into the area. But nice job also from jmal and rin, both having a heads-up play here to actually skip a platforming section using the orb. As on the left, Rin catches that cycle. Very, very nice.
Yeah, this Blackroot has a lot of auto-scrollers. Depending on what skills you have when you go in, you can skip some of them. With double jump, you can skip one of them. You can actually really skip most of them, but this last one that we see both of our runners doing here is not really skippable unless you have some very powerful skill combinations. And yeah, the thing about Blackroot, as you mentioned, is that it has 5 checks that you can get with any skill set, basically, that lets you enter the area at all. And so if you can come here at all, you can get almost everything. And the same is not true of Grotto. Our runners don't have an ability to break what we call blue breakage, which can come from one of 3 skills. And without that, there are some pickups in Grotto that you just necessarily have to leave behind. But if blue breakage were, say, here in Blackroot, then it would be something our runner going to Grotto first would be something our runners would definitely end up regretting.
Yeah, interesting pickup also behind these dash crushers, as we see jmal on the right going to be finding that keystone. This could actually be kind of massive. This does increase the probability that our runners are going to find dash, because for the sake of logic itself, it will never expect our runners to be capable of getting to that pickup unless they have dash as a skill. So our runners' sequence breaking logic also gets them a bit of information. So dash could be somewhere on the right side of the map, potentially. It also could be in a place called Spirit Caverns, which has 5 really quick checks for our runner. Nice double jump chain from Rin to be able to sort of make quicker work of that platform cycle. So going to be skipping having to wait for those last sort of platforms to float up.
Yeah, that was really neat. I've actually never seen that. Both of our runners dropping down into this pit and deciding to keep the pickup here because it's an energy cell. Second energy is really nice to have. It lets you set up for some complicated tricks that can open 4 energy doors, but more importantly, it's safety. Having a second energy means that you can make twice as many safety saves. It means you can make a safety save and have information left over. And on the left, Rin finds down here in the boulder area the clean water, which could open up a lot of really obnoxious checks. I actually think clean water early can be a bit of a disadvantage at times, just because Rin have a little bit of trouble there with his boulder.
Yeah, I think Rin might have accidentally saved the game too late or something like that, which messed them up. But over on the right, we see jmal with a successive glitch out of the boulder, removing most of its dead zones. But Rin with double jump was just able to sort of stay in the air for long enough, because as Aiko was bringing up, the power of double jump really comes in with the ability to retain yourself in air. And clean water, touching a little bit back on that, is one of the more important pickups for sort of starved seeds where you don't find enough health cells. And wow, look at that, Aiko. Valley teleporter.
Ooh, that's exciting. It could be a little nervous, but it's not open world. We can stay calm at least for a little bit. Rin actually, what happened there was game storage. If you quit to menu too quickly and you're spamming your scroll wheel, the game quits to menu twice, and when you do that, some stuff doesn't unload properly. And when you do that, what ends up happening is the rock doesn't lose its murder collision box until much later in the boulder sequence. We're seeing both of our runners use the Mega Energy, which gives you 5 temporary energy that they picked up to open this 4 energy door into Grotto. Looks like jmal is going to head left after that. Rin went and checked the underwater pickup first, and is now just going to take this into Grotto. We may see some more moderate divergence here if we end up seeing Jamal head into Spirit Caverns next, because rin did not check that.
Yeah, this could be really massive from jmal. So on the left, we see rin going through Death Gauntlet, which they open the 4 energy door using a Mega Energy. Both of the runners do that. 69 experience there. That's pretty nice. But over on the right, jmal indeed is going to be taking this double jump, wall jump to be able to check Spirit Caverns and a few additional pickups. These 6 checks from jmal could be pretty massive of an advantage, especially if rin decides to delay coming back to this starting location.
Yep, we're also seeing, jmal checks the above, the ability cell above the 4th health cell, which you can check with just wall jump and double jump, and finds a 3rd energy. So it could actually be the case that we have some kind of progression in Death Gauntlet, including the 4 energy door underwater there. 4 energy plus clean water can bring that into logic early. Now we'll see where rin heads first. Like he's going to that's wind restored for Jamal in the Spirit Caverns area. That's a nice find.
Yeah, rin taking a little bit of time to be able to save on the Spirit Well to get the energy back to open up this energy door. On the right, jmal is going for a really difficult double jump chain. Both of our runners busting out these insanely difficult double jump strats. For jmal's sake, this one's really tough. It's really easy to get a little bit too high, and then you just slip past the notch. So what you need to do is either jump off of the wall there, or to take a lower jump or delay your double jump. And we see jmal doing different sort of jump sequences, which is exactly what you need to do to be able to try and get this. And yeah, it's a very difficult jump. It's a very, very tight spot. So jmal just moving on is going to be checking the final 2 pickups in Spirit Caverns.
Meanwhile, on the left, we saw rin behind that ability menu grab an energy, which is his 3rd energy. So our runners actually both together we've found 4 energy in logic, but neither of them actually have those 4 energy cells. And Jamal, it looks like, is sitting on 3 keystones, so he is not going to be able to open this upper door and make his way straight into the charge flame area. But hold that, because rin just found the sunstone.
Yeah, Sunstone on the fall leading back down into Grotto. And this is actually not in logic to be able to check that quite yet. You either need...
Sorry, Jamal just went back. He went back for it, and a good thing he did, because he found the Sorrow teleporter. That's huge.
A heads-up play.
Oh
my goodness.
Underwater.
On the left, rin finds the most important skill in the randomizer itself, which is Bash. This not only makes a lot of sections a lot easier, but allows us to sequence break pretty much like anything you could ever imagine. And so this is actually looking very, very scary for both of our runners, like especially finding Bash this early in logic for a seed itself. Because now, like, the majority of the right side is open to our runners, and so where they find their next thing could be really, really deep and buried. But our runners with Valley TP have the potential to be able to just open the left side of the map and like really just push those skill locations.
Yeah, our runners could go into what is sometimes known as lumberjack mode, where you rush down trees looking for clues. We haven't even gotten our first clue yet. Muffin, you want to cover the clue system real quick as rin approaches the 3rd tree, the double jump tree?
Yeah, sure. As we mentioned earlier on in the cast, that the 2 important objectives is activating every single skill location and then starting and finishing the final escape for our runners. That being said, we actually do need 2 of the dungeon keys in order to be able to accomplish this. Ginso Tree requires Water Vein in order to open it, while Sunstone opens up Mount Horu, which contains the final escape itself. So on the left, we're going to see rin activate Double Jump Tree, which is going to get us our first clue. When we collect 3, 6, 9 of skill locations, we will actually get a hint as to where a dungeon key is, and we found it. Tree 3. Yep, reveals it. It's going to be in Misty, which is one of the scariest ones. And so I imagine that both of our runners are going to be really, really hoping that they actually end up finding that light grenade pickup.
I mean, the thing about it, like a Water Vein and Misty clue is, like, you know, usually that's fine. More than half the pickups in Misty are on the way to, like, before you get to the tree, and most of the ones after the tree are fine. The Gumon Seal, it's terrible, but like, what you need to access it is difficult. But there's one pickup in Misty, one pickup that is grenade locked, and if that's where the Water Vein ended up being the seed, our runners are going to have to hunt their merry way through the world of Nibel to grab that light grenade skill because there is no other way to get it.
Yeah,
on the
and
left,
like that being said, the worst part about it is that pickup is the second to last pickup in the entire dungeon itself, while we see jmal finding their bash pickup as well. That is absolutely huge that jmal is going to have that bash going into the mid game, because every single minute that rin would have had bash that jmal didn't, that's just much easier progression for them. So both of our runners taking pretty much the same path. jmal just with that advantage of Sorrow TP if they actually do end up finding that stomp or charge jump pickup.
Yep, both our runners now are on 4 energy. Jamal is heading down here. I don't think rin checked this. We're not going to see Jamal do the mini boss. I support that. In a seed where you have bash already, it makes a lot of sense not to. Rin over here on the left taking a frog on a journey. All he finds is an ability cell though, so he's going to save and reload, and I think we're actually going to see him head into swamp.
Yeah, this is a really nice sequence break, and this actually is really prevalent in most of the no out of bounds categories, especially all skills rather. But it actually came from a discovery that happened from just people playing the randomizer itself, like near the beginning. So over on the left, we're going to see rin using a shot to be able to break this floor, and then baiting one in a really specific way, using those double bashes to both move the shot around and then to move Ori in the direction that he chooses. Very nicely done. No surprise here that rin, an expert all skills no out of bounds, no teleport anywhere runner, is going to be able to bust that strat out that quickly. Well played.
Yep, does an excellent job, gets his keystone here. Actually skipped over 1 or 2 pickups on the way here, so maybe indicating that he feels like he is in or close to a go mode. Skipping an underwater pickup and a long double bash chain. But yeah, now we have our runners approaching trees at the same time, but rin is 1 tree ahead and is taking this fish on a journey, showing him a beautiful world of shimmering, shining swamp.
Yeah, very nicely done. Very nice double bashes there to be able to take it up. And so if you're familiar with double bashing from the just base game itself, it's a little bit easier to do in the randomizer because we have the built-in functionality to be able to guarantee you get it. So the first bash aims the shot, and then the second one allows us to redirect Ori's character in whatever direction we choose.
Yep. And I think we're actually going to see rin doing a very precise double bash chain. This requires a lot of these mortar shots sort of drop down at a pretty constant rate, so you have to basically use angled double bashes and make sure that you don't hit them into the ceiling, you don't hit them into the ground, you don't hit them into your U. And we'll see if rin goes for the does not go for the slightly more complicated version that gets Ori up to this cliff in 1 chain, but now we will see whether or not this was all worth it, because this pickup is can be really important sometimes and doesn't. It's an energy cell. It is not really important this time.
Yeah, it's also a really good check because in order to be able to get that pickup in logic, you actually need charge jump in order to get it. And so charge jump, one of the most powerful skills for the sake of the randomizer itself. I mean, our runners already have bash, so they need little else to actually be able to close out the seed potentially. But having charge jump would be really, really nice, especially for those late game sections. And of course, because we know Sorrow TP is indeed on the map, it is going to be incredibly potent if we do track down charge jump. But the energy cell find there isn't really a tell. It doesn't tell us anything about where charge jump could and could not be on the map.
Yeah. All right. We've got actually a bird on the screen on both screens. We've got on the right Jamal getting yelled at by Kuro for just daring to enter this Grove main area. On the right, or on the left, rin has entered the valley area and looks like he is heading to give Kuro a concussion, going up towards the vanilla feather location.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what rin decides to do. I mean, having run like leaderboard categories is definitely going to be comfortable with the fast stomp list, but also having Sunstone actually spawns a frog onto the map itself, which allows us an alternative way to be able to break the boulders. Meanwhile, on the right, jmal still digging on the right side of the map in order to try and find something. And that is absolutely massive for the state of the race, folks. Finding charge jump right there is going to allow jmal to use that Sorrow TP. And because we don't have glide yet, this could be absolutely massive for jmal, because without glide, Sorrow is insanely difficult.
And not only that, because of where we found it in this middle of this Hollow Grove area, I would be surprised if we saw Rin head here anytime soon, unless he starts going for a hunting. Because this area doesn't have a tree. It's not on the way to or from any trees, so it's typically a pretty unpopular area for how dense it is. On the left, we just saw Rin do a very nice fast stompless, which is a very precise trick where you fire a redirect a shot and then move out of the way so that shot passes through some unloaded terrain and drops a rock on Kuro's head, and we will see Rin grabbing the feather tree or feather skill location, which will get us some info and clear that kill plane, which will give him access to Misty.
Very, very nice. And of course, we know Water Vein is in Misty, and so it is absolutely going to be a very important place to visit. Meanwhile, on the right, this is going to be so huge as we see what jmal decides to do next. Where they decide to teleport to or not to is going to tell us how much longer they're going to be on the right side of the map. And indeed, Rin taking a little bit of a tree vantage here by going to the left side so early. But Rin clearly saying that he is not comfortable with his current skill set to be able to either clear the left side of the map or potentially even to finish out the seed. So Rin also is going to be digging.
Yeah, neither of our runners has what they need to finish the final escape, because neither of our runners has a skill set that will let them break the walls or floors. Rin can break the walls in the final escape, but cannot break the floors. Jmal can break the walls with charge jump, cannot break the floors. Rin showing off a very precise little trick there. The Kuro CS skip. It's not typically the most relevant thing in Rando because it's hard to avoid depending on your pathing through the area, but it saves 18 seconds if you get it and can avoid the skill with no time loss. From looking like he's having a bit of indecision about the order in which he wants to check these pickups, and now going for some fancy double jump movement to try and avoid having to make another cycle around, and that is possible. They learned.
Very nicely done. Yeah, it's definitely doable on double jump. It's a bit tricky. It's usually a lot easier if you have something like triple jump in order to be able to do that. Meanwhile, jmal on the right, opting to not go towards Stomp Tree here, as we see that they have not visited that tree yet, using that same sequence break that we actually ended up seeing Rin. So maybe a little bit of a choice, but also just potentially not necessarily comfortable with busting that out. So on the right, we're going to see jmal head to the left side of the map, as they are going to be getting their feather skill location as well, which we also just call a tree, even though it's just a feather that drops down. But on the left, Rin is continuing to dig in this Hollow Grove area. This is looking really good for Rin Echo, because this definitely speaks to me that they are going to be finding that charge jump pickup.
Yeah, he's heading for it right now. All right, it is not going to be nearly as big of a deal as I thought, as our runners trade places, and Rin comes over here and grabs his charge jump as well, putting them at skill parity, with Rin having a 2-tree lead, which could be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, especially so. Rin's still without that Sorrow TP pickup that we know is over in Spirit Caverns, which is in the left side of Glades. And without Blue Breakage, Rin is not going to be able to get access to Charge Flame Tree quite yet. But on the right, we're seeing jmal do very similar checks to Rin. And on the left, Rin is going to be coming up, and they're only going to be able to check one more pickup here, which is the 4 energy door, which we have coined to be Progression Vault.
Yep, this pickup had progression, I think, in like 3 or 4 seeds in the 2018 tournament, so it's Progression Vault now. Don't let anyone accuse the Ori community of being good at naming things. We are terrible at it. just bad names.
Okay, so on the right, we're going to see jmal actually head over to these rocks, and this is nice because the insanely precise trick that we saw Rin actually bust out doesn't save any time to just coming over to these rocks normally. It only saves time if you actually check the pickup while going for that trick, and we saw Rin not necessarily do that.
Yeah, jmal's taken a bit of a pit stop here to check this pickup, which rather infamously in a race during the preliminaries had charge jump as progression, and it was a fascinating seed. Muffin, you played that seed. How did you feel about that seed?
It was good. I just literally forgot that was one of the paths in the randomizer itself. I finished second overall for that race, but it took everybody over an hour to finish, which is very, very long, especially at the high levels of play for people who run the randomizer. But wow, look at this on the left, Eiko. Rin is now going to be doing some checks over in Lower Valley, takes a death back to the waypoint, and so is going to change their mind and try and think where to dig. And this is one of the hardest aspects of routing the randomizer itself, is sort of forgetting what you have and have not checked, and also what might be in logic still.
The logic right now is it's pretty bad. Okay, so like what we've got is we've got charge jump, we've got double jump, we've got bash. That opens up a lot of things, but it also leaves a lot of things behind and opens up like a lot of one-offs. The big thing here is that our runners are both probably feeling that a likely next point of progression is going to be something like, ooh, Jamal takes the actually exact same death that we saw take just earlier, but he is not perturbed. He will soldier on. But anyways, as I was saying, one of the most likely next possible pieces of progression is something like grenade or charge flame, something that lets you break open these blue plants that we've seen scattered around the map, and also some of the walls there. And that could be anywhere, and if it's somewhere like in a one-off, then that is going to open up for progression all of those plants, which is going to be a horrendous amount of revisiting. So there's just a big mental toll in seeds like this, where we have the where like one of the likely things to happen is just being forced to make multiple revisits to areas. I would be unsurprised to see one or both of our runners end up skilling things in the purple tree, just so that you can look at your map and see what's there. Rin on the left has gone into Spirit Caverns finally and cleared up that advantage that Jamal had, because Rin now has the SAR teleporter as well.
Yeah, that is absolutely massive for the state of the race. We cannot overstate how important it was that Rin actually ended up finding that SAR OTP pickup. As Eiko mentioned earlier, our runners still don't quite have what they need in order to be able to finish out the seed, just simply because of certain breakable things in the final escape that our runners can't quite do. Meanwhile, on the right, finding that health cell is actually pretty nice. Our runners have been really starved on health cells for the seed itself, both runners having currently 5. Meanwhile, on the left, Rin is going to be making the first play for Charge Flame Tree from our runners. And this is really, really important, like just simply because it doesn't really require much to be able to get access to Charge Flame Tree, but our runners are clearly putting it off because it would save them a massive amount of time if they do find blue breakage elsewhere.
Yeah, so this is going to be really interesting. If Rin finds a skill here, especially a blue breakage skill, that could just end up being massive for the state of the race. We'll see. He finds nothing from the pickup down below. We'll see what the tree itself is momentarily. I'm also curious to see where Jamal heads next. So we will see. He's got the teleport happening, and it's just an ability cell from that tree. So Rin pulls further ahead in trees, but still no closer to figuring out what the seed really expects of them and how they are going to be able to finish it.
Yeah, so really interesting, because Grotto currently still has a large number of pickups that are left in logic. Like, I'm just briefly counting. It's like over 7 pickups, I believe, that are still there. That could be checked. Also, something like Glazer that both of our runners are definitely putting off, not wanting to do that, even though it's actually pretty fast to be able to do it with this skill set itself. But that being said, also, it could be Mount Horu, right? Like,
yeah, Horu is in logic with the skill set. All right. Jamal saves, and it looks like he is. Well, I mean, it could be the Swamp Swim, right? Like, I think Swamp is in logic via the. No, wait. It's not. Yeah. Rin is taking a frog on a magical journey, not content with that fish earlier. He is just taking this frog, see the world, enjoy the sights. All right, see ya. We're done with ya. And is going to head into Misty. This could be big. This could be information about whether or not the water vein is in an easily accessible part of Misty. We'll see if he takes. Yeah, okay. He's gonna grab this frog shot, take it on another little journey, and nice first try double bash chain, gets his first pickup. It's only 10 experience.
That was so impressive. I'm so sorry. Like, that was just insane, because you have the bird, you have the rhino to deal with, and like getting the shot at the proper angles because it accelerates incredibly quickly. It's like, that is just so impressive and shows just how experienced and comfortable Rin is with these really tight setups. I also really like this play from Rin to just say, hey, like, I might not find something on the right side. Like, there probably is something on the right side that our runners need to find to be able to make use of the left side of the map. But like, our runners, like, the thing that they find could literally put something in Misty for them to track down. So like just pushing for the left side trees right now, even though it might not be entirely comfortable for our runners to do so, it is just like such a great play to see rin go for.
Yeah, it's definitely not a play without risk, though. We see Jamal doing the swamp swim and finds his 1 EXP, but rin has potentially. We talked a little bit earlier about the risk of that grenade pickup, the grenade lock pickup in Misty being that water vein. There is also there's a plant in Misty, so if the pickup, the water vein could be on that plant too, and then rin could be a situation where he has to come back through here 3 times because he doesn't know if it's the plant or the grenade pickup, and he might end up coming back here with charge flame first. He takes some damage here because he spikes deal 3 damage, but he survives, circling his health. He's almost leveling up.
Yeah, just looking for that last little bit. When rin gets a level up, as we see here, it fully refills energy and health. And so every time we drop a save, we're able to get a little bit of health back. Currently, it's at 1 health per save for rin, but only having 5 health, right, is very, very scary. And so we're going to see what rin does, especially in this next spike fall corridor, which is going to be very difficult with this health pool, but we might actually end up just seeing a bunch of zombie Oris to be able to get through.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he goes for here. Our runners don't have any of the skills that are good for combat. I mean, except for charge jump, which, you know, does 50 damage, but it's not great at enemies against enemies on the ground. Rin is gonna take a death here. I don't think we'll see him go back for that energy again. Oh, okay, just kidding. He's going to run back and forth. This is what we call little converting health to energy. It's a nice little it's a technical term for that. Arbitrage? Not really arbitrage, it's just conversion. Equivalent exchange, and the forlorn teleporter. That is a nice thing to have.
Okay, and that does give access to Forlorn if our runners want to make use of that. I doubt either of our runners want to go to Forlorn, and the reason for that is there's no skill location in Forlorn itself. It's one of the like very few areas that doesn't have a skill location associated with it. But meanwhile, Eiko, rin is getting to the tree and quickly running out of pickups now in Misty Woods, and this could be absolutely massive for the state of the race if rin has to do multiple revisits to Misty.
Yeah, we will definitely see. All right, we've got some interesting stuff going on both sides. Rin leaves Misty, so he's gonna have to take that revisit. Jamal, in the meanwhile, just did the dashless version of the below the Crusher's lure. So this is a trick that you need to do to. No!
Oh, that's so brutal. So you can just double dash the Frankie under that last one, but yeah, that's so tough.
This is a rough little sequence. Many runners are used to doing this with dash. Ooh, takes it. Oh, these Crushers are they're rude.
Yeah, they're being really mean. So we like to call those like angry pixels because just the sides of the Crushers can actually kill you if you're touching them just the wrong way. But here on the left, we're seeing rin come back over. We're going to see where they go. Like, if rin goes to Horu, one time.
Oh, okay. Frankie gets fast. Yeah, I was so scared.
Jmal, so now why Jmal is going to really extraneous extent to be able to get this Frankie over is because this one floor here is all that is gating them from being able to get down into lower Blackroot. On 3 health is going to set up a safety save after successfully doing this. Has to kill a slime first because if an enemy is too close, then they will stop you from being able to save. And this is absolutely 1,000,000% a big sequence break for Jmal to be able to get through this section. But this gets Jmal access to a skill location and also a potential set of some additional pickups to check.
Yeah, rin showing off a little bit on the way to Horror Fields, doing something completely unnecessary in this, but really cool looking in this Baneling kinetic energy storage. He has bash. He knows he has bash because he bashed the Baneling to get into position to do this trick, but goes for it anyways and is making his way through Horror Fields. All of these pickups are in logic, but okay, he's through, and he is almost all the way up the purple tree. What does that mean for our runner, for Jamal here, Muffin?
So it's going to be able to get access to an ability known as Sense, and normally in the base game itself, all Sense does is sort of make like quote-unquote secret areas of the game to be easier to see. And that is going to be huge because for the randomizer itself, like we already know where all those locations are and where all the pickups are. But we actually modded the randomizer itself to be able to give Sense another purpose. Isn't that right, Aiko?
Yeah, so how sense functions in the randomizer is it acts as like a little hot-cold indicator for important pickups. And what an important pickup is an important pickup is a skill or world event or a left side teleporter, which we have seen all of now. But Jamal took a really obnoxious death and had to do this obnoxious sequence all over again. But there he skill sense and is going to make his way to the grenade tee right as Rin is entering Mount Horu. This is going to be really exciting. And so with Jamal, you'll see that his Ori is bright blue. He will start to change colors and become more and more red as he gets close to an important item. So keep an eye out for that, as Jamal is definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that, and that'll help his search for whatever our runners are supposed to find, that is getting them out of this weird logical dead state.
Yeah, they need one thing. Like every single skill that they have on the skill wheel, ironically except for Glide, actually allows them to be able to finish out the seed. So like it's going to be really, really important for our runners to be able to track that down. And Sense is such a heads-up play from jmal to be able to both cut down on time for being able to do some checks, but also is going to give them that informational advantage, especially if something's like gated on a mapstone turn or something. On the left, Rin is going to continue digging through Horu, not finding anything so far. And on the right, we're going to see jmal head back over to Valley.
Rin's finding out that the things here deal 5 damage in one shot, which is brutal when the amount of health you have is also 5. Baneling explosion, 6 damage, just lots of stuff. Bad times all around here. This is actually really interesting. I wonder if we're going to see Jamal head into Sorrow using Sorrow Bash, or if he's instead going to just head into Misty off this. I could see both those plays working out really well, because with Sense you can just get a lot of information, and yeah, he is going to head into Sorrow, and we'll see what he finds there. Ooh, though I think he's going to first head over to the... he's just going to second bird.
It's a little unfortunate for jmal in particular, because they have Sorrow Teleporter. And so using Sorrow Teleporter is going to be a little bit easier to be able to get access to that skill location itself. And jmal has tried Valley a little bit and finds Climb. That's it.
Huge.
That's it. That's it. That's all jmal potentially needs to be able to finish out the seed. The only way that jmal cannot finish out the seed is if Water Vein is on a plant in Misty, or if it's the grenade gated pickup. And that is just absolutely massive for the state of the race, especially if jmal just decides to go mode this.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Jamal has Sense, and because he has Sense, he'll know beforehand, like he'll know passing the plant whether or not it's the plant. We've actually, I don't know if he knows this, but we would have actually triggered on the grenade pickup just due to the way Misty's laid out. We know it's not on the Forlorn Teleporter either. I think based on what we've seen Rin check so far and what we've seen from Jamal already, the only places it can be are the plant or one of the pickups near the 3rd or 4th keystone. But hold on the left, I think Rin just found logical progression, and it was Glide. R4 cutscene.
Oh no! Glide on R4. This is actually really nice for Rin, because Rin has Wind Restored, so being able to get access to Sorrow, if they decide not to use the Sorrow TB, is going to be much, much, much easier, because within Sorrow itself as an area, there's a constant upward wind current. And because we have Wind Restored as a pickup, that also adds those upward currents to Valley itself. So this is really kind of tragic for Rin, because Glide is literally the one skill that does not allow them to go into technical go mode.
We just saw Jamal lighting up. Oh no, that was for the Forlorn Teleporter. Okay, carry on. We know that the Forlorn Teleporter is here, and that is what Jamal is sensing. He's got to be thinking, "Ooh, this is my Water Vein," but nope, it's just the Forlorn Teleporter.
Wait, we're getting word that Rin actually found Dash, and because they were spamming the Glide pickup, they don't know they have Dash yet. Oh my god. Oh man.
That's
what is this scene, dude? Okay. For people who don't know, Dash is like the second most powerful skill kill in the randomizer, as many people would say. It allows us to build a lot of horizontal speed. But also, this is actually a really nice play from rin coming over to Forlorn Escape itself. This is absolutely a calculated measure because they have glide, and so doing Forlorn Escape at the very end, before we start laughing again, is going to get them a hint as to where two potent pickups are, which are Stomp and Grenade. And with that information, that is going to give rin the necessary tools to be able to go mode this, even though we know that potentially, like, this is completely unnecessary because we have dash.
It's probably isn't unnecessary because we have dash. It's not on the plant. Jamal would have sensed it. Rin has no way of knowing this, but sense is coming up massive for Jamal. He knows, or he could know that it's not in the grenade pickup because he would have sensed it already, and so it's got to be either this keystone, the next keystone, or one of the experience pickup next to the fourth keystone. He's not changing colors. I think he would have by now. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't. It's not this, so it has to be one of the two pickups by the fourth keystone, or I'm wrong about sense range, but around the grenade, but I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Oh man, Aiko, I just realized something.
What?
At the end of Forlorn Escape, the clues are on a plant.
No. Oh, if he doesn't remember that he is dash, he's just not gonna be able to get the clue. Oh no. Oh,
Rin. Oh, please, everybody give hugs in hearts in chat if Rin forgets this.
Please.
Oh, Rin, please, remember you. Like, just notice. Like, it's not even remembering at this point, because Rin didn't even see that they had dash because of memes.
He'll pause in desperation and then see it on the skill wheel?
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. So, floating up one more final things, and there's a plant. And Rin's gonna stand there, look at the plant. It's going to try and science out. Jumping on the plant doesn't break it.
Nope.
That didn't work. No,
he leaves! That permanently locks out. Okay, he's going to save and reload, which is the correct choice here. You can revisit the escape afterwards. Oh wow, I think I might have been wrong about the grenade pickup. Because
oh no.
Oh yeah, no, he's let's see here. Yeah, no, he's changing color. Okay, it's here. I was not wrong.
Okay.
Fourth pickup. Okay.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay.
And there's a water vein. Okay.
There's the water vein.
All right. So there's two cases here, Aiko. Either Rin finds something else, or they just remember they have dash. And here it is. Yes. Please check the pickup. All right. So over here, if Rin goes over, no, go over to the left. No, you passed the pickup as climb.
Please, no.
No, Rin.
I mean, it's not all is lost necessarily, right? Okay, so first we gotta make Frog scream. That's important. Thank you.
That's important. Yep.
But Rin can just glide into Sorrow, and he can make a lot of checks here, and some of them could be like a progression check, right? Like, I think Jamal was just sensing something over there. He decided not to go for it.
Okay. But, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe Stomp Cell or something. But jmal on the right is going to be able to make use of this access here, using the water vein to be able to get access to Ginso. This is currently the only way that we have in logic to be able to get access to Ginso, because the teleporters for the pool set itself was not included into the pickup. So having water vein not be gated by grenade is going to be really important for rin to be able to finish out. But how long is it going to take rin to be able to track down that last vital component to allow them to be able to go mode with such confidence that we see out of jmal?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a while. He could find a skill. He could also, press tab and open up his skill wheel. Oh, Rin.
Yeah.
It's fully finishable with this dash. It's just, he spam glides so much. This is...
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so tragic, but it's also really, really funny.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, on the right, we're going to see jmal come up to this mini boss using charge jump to great effect, two-shotting the boss thanks to that 50 damage that the charge jump is going to be to do. And for a little bit of perspective, a normal attack without any upgrades or anything like that deals 2 damage. And jmal is absolutely going to be skipping pickups here as they are going to be coming to Ginso Tree. This just speaks confidence that they're ready to finish out.
He's got sense. He knows that neither of those skills, it's not dash. We know it's not dash. We know we're dashing.
Yeah, we know we're dashing.
But, it's not dash. It's nothing that's going to help him in the final escape, right? He's just like, all right, later. See ya. I mean, the one thing that I'm a little worried about for Jamal is a lack of... with his current skill set, it is non-trivial to complete the escape without taking damage, and with his current health pool, all the damage he would take is lethal damage. as I like to call it.
Yeah, I think the only really scary part here is going to be literally like the final room of the escape. Like, jmal is comfortable with the charge jump, double jump setup, or by double bashing a fish through a very, very specific spot, which is insanely difficult. I think they should be fine. Like, climb charge jump is able to like break the floors. They have bash for lantern room and the elemental room. So
yeah, it's really just the final room glideless that might be a bit of a problem. We'll end up seeing what's going on. Meanwhile, rin is showing off some fascinating strategies. Looks like he wants to take a frog on. I'm not actually sure what the goal is here.
Yeah, I think it's because rin only has 2 keystones. They're not going to be able to take the tumbleweed.
Oh, okay. So he wants to open the.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's using this for access. Okay. No, I thought he was gonna use the frog shot to break the. Oh no, poor frog.
Yeah. So the frog is going to be taking a little bit of a dip dive into those spikes, and even though they look tasty, they are not going to do it for them. And oh man, jmal just sitting there in front of the door is like, I have 5 keystones. This door requires 4 keystones. Do I really want to do this? And the answer is yes. In order to be able to get access to Charge Flame Tree, has to put in those keystones.
He's either remembering that he has he could do a key dupe in Sorrow, or if he goes in via the Sorrow teleporter, he doesn't need to open the keystone door at all. And speaking of the Sorrow teleporter, rin is here. He charge jumps open. Still no dashing going on. But you know, can't win them all.
Okay, and so for a general state of the race, we actually are pretty tied up on trees when rin gets over. Actually, no, scratch that. jmal is going to be ahead by 1 tree. All jmal needs to be able to finish out the seed is going to be using Sorrow TP to be able to get access to that charge jump tree and then to finish out. And like that being said, rin over here on the right is going to have a bit of a tricky time for getting through this section. Having put in the abilities into the purple tree itself is going to stop them from being able to use triple jump in order to get over that last crevice. And because they don't have climb charge jump, it's going to be really difficult to be able to get over. But there is a way that you can do it pretty easily. They have 8 ability cells, and so if they actually just do a zombie Ori and a save and like a terror break on the floor, they will be able to get past that section.
Yeah, it looks like jmal is now actually just going to head into Sorrow via that teleporter, like I mentioned, and rin has discovered that he has dash now, so you know, better late than never. Going to be using this to get access over here. We're actually seeing our runners use slightly different methods of breaking these floors and ceilings because jmal doesn't have dash, but he does have charge jump and climb, so he can climb onto the wall and just sort of break it down. rin, in comparison, can't do that, but he can do a trick called a terror break, where you save the game in a spot, and then die while charge jumping, and then you respawn while charge jumping too.
Yeah, and so there we go. We're going to see rin try and get over and get set up. Is going to be picking up that charge dash ability, which is really nice. And then saving the game while dropping down is going to allow them to be able to break the floor if they die while in that charge jump animation. So we're going to see it go for it. Yep, there it is. Nicely done from rin on the left to be able to do that. Meanwhile, on the right, jmal is going to have to double bash the spider shot down in order to break this last wall. And is going to be breaking it. We're going to see a sync between our 2 runners.
Well, depending, because jmal has a much easier ability to break this floor than rin does, as this is going to be jamal's 10th tree, and it's actually only rin's 9th, because rin hasn't gone down for the grenade tree yet, so this is going to be really interesting. That's a 6 health cell for jmal, which is really nice, and now we're going to see if he considers this go mode, or if he's going to want to shop around, see if he can grab one more skill. Of course, if he heads into Horu with sense, he only needs to go not incredibly far to the right before he'll start sensing dash, because dash was in the far lower left pickup of R4, which is sensible almost from the like the main area.
Yeah, and so jmal, like, no illusions here. jmal, if they decide to go the final escape right now, they are in a very, very, very strong lead, and almost certainly are going to be able to finish out, because not only does rin have to lure this Frankie over on the left using dash under these crushers, but also still has to revisit Misty and do like the entire first portion of Misty, and then do almost the entire part of the second half. in order to be able to track down that water vein pickup.
Yeah, this is honestly this really just the location of the water vein and the fact that Jamal had sense for it when Rin didn't is really what I would call the biggest decider of this race. Real heads-up play to in a slow seed with dash buried for Jamal to just go deep into that purple tree.
Yeah, for sure. So over on the right, jmal going to be charge jumping and then double bashing a shot a few times in order to be able to get over that instant kill death lava zone, and is going to be fast on the way to Mount Horu and almost certainly for the final escape. Meanwhile, on the left, Rin, still looking for some additional pickups to try and get an edge, is going to be checking this EXP pickup over here by jumping on this flower pad and then dashing over to be able to check it. Just experience and not too terribly important. Maybe just looking for an ability cell or something to be able to have a nicer sort of a setup for that save anywhere. But does have a single ability cell, so does has the capability of skipping the like minute plus cutscene that's right outside of the tree.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the left, right, Jamal is going for a door warp. This is a trick that you want to basically say, all right, looks like he's trying to decide whether or not he wants to go for it. Basically, this is a trick where if you enter a door, the first frame of the, he has given up on it. He's chosen violence instead. We have two options for getting to the final escape access. We have the door warp and we have violence. Door warp is faster, but it's less satisfying, honestly.
Yeah, it's a really precise timing press as well, and there's some weirdness that goes on with the randomizer DLL itself to like cause some weird states where like the timing press is actually like a different time. So very nice heads up play from jmal to just be like, hey, I'm just gonna take out this final mini boss fight. Something else that we didn't mention earlier is that you'll notice that there's no lava in Mount Horu, and this is actually an intentional modification of the randomizer itself in order to sort of make the potential bits of things to check and the progression for seeds more interesting if Horu is in. Because previously, like, the only way to get through Horu was to go top down from each of the rooms on the left and right. So not very many interesting paths. But now, without the lava and without the pillars, there's a lot more additional pickups that could actually come into play. Meanwhile, this is it. On the right, if jmal is able to get through the final escape here, they are going to be taking a victory here and moving on to the next round with a record of 1-0.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. He's got, like we said, the only room that we think is going to be a major problem is that very last one. He is got Bash. He's going to be able to get to the lantern room, no problem. He is going to be able to. He's got to be a little bit careful in this elemental room to make sure he doesn't take fire damage, but that's not going to be a big deal. He's going to break this, use double jump for some air stall, head over, and now he's got this S-bend and fish room, which should be pretty straightforward. Though without glide, you need to be careful about where you double jump. Ooh, take some damage there. Not a huge deal. He should be able to survive, but he's going to be fine. And now we'll see if he's going to opt for fish strats. He is not bringing the fish out, so we'll see if he goes for the, he's going to do the climb
Very
charge
nice.
jump. Yeah, I like this play a lot. It's more straightforward and just going to make for a nice clean escape, and he is fine. Oh, needs to find a rock to jump off of. Nope, he just goes for the wall charge jump, and that is going to be it. He's going to have about a minute and a half of holding right, but he's going to be the first place finisher in this race. GG.
All right, GG, well played to jmal, going to be closing out this victory here and moving on to the next round to match up against our number 2 seed, Tritonite, in the next round. Very, very scary matchup, to say the least. Meanwhile, on the left, Rin is going to be tracking down that water vein pickup then and there, and is now going to be dashing out of Misty using that Alt-R teleport functionality to just teleport back to the start, and is now going to be heading over to swap in order to tackle their final skill tree before heading to back to Mount Horu for the final escape itself. And Rin is not going to have any problems in the final escape, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely not. He's got dash, he's got bash, he's got charge jump, he's got glide. He's got everything you could want for a final escape. This is going to be nice and easy. Showing off a few things. He's going to actually do a couple tricks here on entering Ginso. Saves a couple seconds to just avoid the cutscene entering both at the outside and the inside. Do some blind movement here, just really showing off his mastery of this dungeon, which you have to do on every single all skills run. taking some time to check some extra pickups, gets an energy refill off of that plant.
Yes,
and
indeed. All right, and so GG to jmal finishing out with a time of 53:52.67 as they are going to be moving on to the next round. And don't worry for rin. rin taking a loss here, but not necessarily out of the tournament quite yet. This is indeed a double elimination bracket, and so going to be able to see rin have at least one more match before potentially bowing out.
Yeah, and rin making even quicker work than jmal of that mini boss, because not only does charge jump does 50 damage, as we mentioned before. Does rin keystep muffin?
Oh no,
muffin. Do you see what's happening here?
All right, rin's going to be checking these two pickups. One of them is not a keystone.
Oh,
it's not.
Oh, it's the Ginsu time. Oh, no, he just
it just backs out instead. Oh, okay.
It's just like, yeah, whatever. Ain't nobody got time for the Ginsu dupe. All right, that.
Yeah, so we do have a way to be able to get keystones back, and so rin is going to be looking around to find a place to, I guess, check for additional pickups. Instead of doing a key dupe. There's one really easy one in Sorrow. They can't make use of Forlorn because, of course, they started the final escape they started Forlorn escape, which you have to open the 4 key door in order to be able to do that. So rin is just going to opt right now to just check some pickups. But that being said, it does seem like our winner is going to be here on deck and ready to give an interview. So jmal, congratulations on your win here today.
Thank you. That was quite the seed.
Yeah, so you mentioned in sort of like your pre-run comments that you were actually hoping for a seed like this. Was this sort of what you were hoping to find and expect?
I am definitely pleased with this. I won't say that I was comfortable with that ability set, but this is definitely the sort of thing that I like to find. This was a tricky one that really kind of put my ability to think on my feet on my test, and so I really enjoyed playing this one.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about like your mid-game routing? What made you teleport to the left side when you did, and then after grabbing the feather tree, end up going down into the grenade area where we saw you grabbing scents?
At that point, I was really just trying to think of, what objectives I could feasibly reach, because I didn't have climb, so I didn't want to go up into Sorrow and try too hard at that point. I was kind of giving up entirely on tracking down whatever the logic was at that point, though. I figured I had missed something and it was going to be difficult to go back and just find what I had missed. And so that lure down there at the time seemed like the easiest option, because the only other thing I could have done was Misty, which before I had Sense, I didn't want to risk doing Misty without Grenade, because I knew the water vein was back there.
That makes a lot of sense. Get it? Sense. We did see you... Yeah, go ahead, Muffin.
Sure. Yeah. So is like sense of play that you're just going to make for seeds like this? Like if you see like a longer seed where you need like at least one more skill to be able to finish out, both like getting access to skill locations in the final escape, that you're just going to make that sense play? Or are there other sort of situations that you might consider to be able to go for sense over something like early triple jump and ultra defense?
I generally am a big fan of going for sense. I recognize that, it might not be as much the meta as going for something, going for the blue tree, but I really like the ability to just get a lot of checks done really quickly, and it works out well, especially in a seed like this where we had a pretty starved skill set. I was kind of hoping to find skills at pretty much any point, but unfortunately that didn't end up happening. But it worked out a lot for this seed because, like I said, having it in Misty let me verify pretty early on that it wasn't going to be grenade lock, and I was confident that at least with charge jump and climb, I could get to the end of Misty and check whatever was back there. So it worked out well, but I do generally like the play.
Yeah, Sense when you know the water vein is in Misty is just such a powerful play, because as you mentioned, you can right away have sense access on that first pickup or on those later pickups, so like just heading in that it's not on the Gooman seal, it's not on the grenade pickup, because those are just in range, which is just great, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan.
Great. Okay, so moving forward to the next round, your opponent is going to be none other than Triton Knight. You mentioned that for your goal specifically for this tournament wasn't necessarily to close out a win for the tournament overall, but you are looking to have fun. So are there certain goals you have in mind with your matchup that is going to be coming up next week, or are you just sort of content with where things are and you're just going to focus on having fun?
I think at this point, I don't have any ambitions of seriously beating Tritonite. He's a very good player, and I've watched enough of the top-tier players to know that I am not one of them. So I'm going to have a good time. If it's a seed like this, where, you know, we don't get a whole ton of speed abilities and he can't completely outskill me, then maybe I'll stand a chance, but I'm not going to bank on that. I'm just going to, like I said, focus on having a good time, play my game, and whatever happens, happens.
Great, awesome. Well, congratulations on taking the win here today, jmal. You should absolutely watch this one back. There was a lot of really, really intense and insane moments. Meanwhile, on the left, we're going to be seeing rin come through, and they're doing a little bit of a different thing in this final room, using this fish here, knocking it up, and then using that charge dash. Oh, he gets Sigma rocked, but actually has health regen, so he doesn't take a death. Very, very nice. And so rin is going to be closing out in just over a minute.
Yeah, GG to rin. This is honestly, on a seed like this, when you've had to go through Misty this many times, when you've had to discover that you didn't have dash for this long, really like an hour and 1 minute, still a pretty respectable finish.
Yeah, it's pretty insane too. Like, I mean, especially in a seed like this, where this is early bash now in 3.0, right? Like, if they get Valley TP, if they get some other things like right side teleporters and stuff like that, and just like early bash, it really can dilute exactly where those skills actually ended up being. And while we were interviewing our fine winner, we actually found Stomp, and it was gated by blue breakage. So, I mean, like actually getting access to Stomp, which would have catalyzed getting access to left side using Valley TP, is just like it's so crazy. And so this was a really hard seed, and so nearly getting a sub 1 hour time on this is a very, very respectable time, especially for a newer rando player like rin.
Yeah, definitely. We see the seed hasn't destroyed his spirit. He's still got a pep in his step, a hop in his step, you will. We're getting some fine Naru hops here. All right.
So
we'll see if we can get him in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here's. All right. rin, GG. The answer to your question, we know that's in your mind. You found dash in Horu R4 at the lower EXP while you were spamming glide.
Isn't that absolutely glorious? Oh man,
I love this game.
All right, rin. So you took a loss here today. You're not out of the tournament yet. You're just gonna head down to lower brackets. I really want to get into like sort of your thought process on like routing this, because you actually ended up going over to Valley like a little bit earlier, especially like before you head to areas like Sea Flame Tree. Do you have sort of like an idea like, oh, we found Valley TP and Bash, I should just get Glide Tree and then move back to right side? Or maybe was it a way to sort of like stall yourself for time to try and think about things that were still in logic to check?
It was mostly because I figured that I thought I didn't have blue breakage, and
yeah,
right. And I had only like 3 keystones at that point, and I still hadn't checked Spirit Caverns. So I was like, I had to either key dupe to get access to Sea Flame Tree, or somehow find blue breakage, right? And I went the blue breakage route because I was trying to find Sea Flame Grenade. That's why I went to Forlorn Escape too, because I wanted to see where Grenade was. Because I was really worried that Water Vein and Misty was grenade locked. So I just wanted to get Grenade out of safety. So that was my thought process, and that's why I ended up going to Valley earlier.
Nice. Yeah, and so when you saw that Water Vein clue in Misty and you alt-R'd actually on the tree, of course we know is the keystone in the latter half. Did you alt-R just simply because you didn't have blue breakage and you were going to make the Forlorn play, or did you just decide that maybe not checking the pickups in the end of it was worth it, just in case it was like gated by Grenade or Charge Flame?
Yeah, I was really afraid of Water Vein on Grenade locked pickup. I just didn't, because like in my head the next progression was Grenade, right? Because by that point I think we had Bash Clean Water, and I was like, next progression has to be like either Sorrow Access for a grenade or a grenade itself, or Sea Flame for blue breakage. And so I was like, Water Vein has very little chance because like there's like 6 pickups right after a climb tree, something like
yeah,
that.
there's 2 keystones and there's 2
Yeah,
keystones,
6.
2 EXP orbs, the Forlorn, the Gumon Seal itself, and the plant and the grenade cell. So it's 2 out of 7 of those are blue blocks.
Okay. Yeah, and then there's the grenade lock pickup as well,
Yeah.
right? So that's 3 out of 8 pickups. I really didn't want to just end up in front of Gumon Seal and having missed the pickup and being like, well, guess I'm going back to blue breakage now, or grenade. So that's why I alt-art. I just really needed blue breakage in my head.
Yeah, it's understandable. Not wanting to risk that is very important. All right, so we had 2 moments in the scene that were like pretty brutal. One is you standing on top of
Oh my
the
god!
plant at the end of the Forlorn escape.
I was like,
you...
I found glide. I'm just gonna go to Forlorn escape, right?
Yeah, you get the Forlorn escape. That's pretty high quality. The other is you at the top of lower Ginso tree, just sitting there at a door.
And the keystone on Bash 3 was just the
oh yeah,
icing
it's
on
just
the
a
cake.
little chef's kiss from the scene to send you on your way.
Well, at least I found stomp cancels on the way, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, worth it.
Absolutely, stomp cancels are always worth it.
Yeah. All right, I'm out of questions. Muffin, you got anything?
Yeah, sure. So going into the losers bracket, do you have like any sort of goals with the rest of the tournament? Or are you just going to just try and show off your stuff? Like we saw some really excellent executional elements from your gameplay here today. Or do you actually have a goal with the lower bracket to see how far you can get?
So first of all is I just wanted to say hi out of questions because that is mandatory and I have to. Also, for the actual question, I think my next opponent is gonna be Fupio, so I'm just gonna win against him, of course, because I absolutely do expect to win against him. Of course, just kidding. I'm just gonna see where I go. The reason I signed up for this tournament is just to play rando and have fun, you know. So I don't really expect to go anywhere. Like if I go, I go, but we'll see what happens. In any case,
Awesome.
if I had won, I would have been matched up against Tridonites, which would have gotten me into losers bracket anyway. Or sorry, I mean lower brackets, and like
Yeah.
it was gonna be the same. So yeah.
Cool. All right, great stuff. Well, thank you so much, Rin, for joining us here in the interview. Taking a loss here, but is going to be continuing on the tournament nonetheless. They are going to be facing off against the loser of the matchup of Infinite versus Vesper. And we are going to see jmal going to go up against Trionite in the next round. And that being said, we are going to be closing out here fast here today. Major thanks to Aiko for helping on commentary, Oshi as well as Cleanfell for helping us with stats, and Appletree for restreaming.
Yeah, and thank you, Muffin. Thank you to both our runners, Jamal and Rin. And if you want more Ori action, don't worry, we are going to have, right now, you can go to SpeedGaming 3, just, go up to that URL, press Control K, and you can, wait, it's Control L? Whatever. Go to your URL bar, delete the 2, press a 3, replace it with the 3, press Enter, and you will see Rufus versus Area Riser happening right now, being commentated by Garden Shafe. Also, come back here at 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to see Turtle versus Trojan Druid, which will be commentated by Cleanfell and Shafe again. That's all from us now. To the entire Ori community and everyone watching, thank you so much.